recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Hello! Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week, I have a returning guest to the show. This man is not only a huge sports fan, but he also loves sausage pizza and classic Coke and cuddling up with a blanket and his dog Capone for a quiet night in. All right, but seriously, you won't find this guy taking a long walk on the beach, no! But you will find him occasionally appearing on this show. And he's here today to discuss a topic that, well, he's well aware of, but I did not disclose prior to this show. So, without further ado, please give me a warm welcome back to my good friend and a very familiar face to the program, and a man who really needs no introduction whatsoever, but I'm going to give him one anyway. He is the one and only Mr. Rich Falls. All right, Richie! How you doing, man?
What's up, Josh? How you doing?
Doing good. Feeling all right. Getting good grades. Future's so bright. Gotta wear shades.
Yeah, you're still in the sun. I'm in like 30, 20. Well, actually, it's going to warm up a little bit over the weekend, but it's like we got down to 12 degrees the other day, so.
Oh, Chicago, baby. Chicago
You
in the house. Yeah. Yes. So, Rich, hey, but first off, how's the old man doing?
Old man's good. He actually told me to tell you hi and don't fuck with him. So.
Oh yeah, you got that. I'm not messing with the old man. Yeah. I don't know his past, so you don't ever mess with a guy that you don't know too much about, from the past. So, any word on Capone? How's your dog Capone doing?
Capone's living. He's doing all right.
That's good.
Yeah.
You say he's like what, a decade old? How old is Capone these days?
He's about 12 or 13. Yeah, right around there.
Wow.
Jack is like 11.
Jack. Are you more partial to Jack or Capone?
Capone was first, and I named him, so.
Of course you did, Capone.
I also named Black. I also named Jack after Black Jack McDowell. So.
All right, Rich. So, hey, the reason I have you here. Actually, you don't even know the reason I have you here.
No, I was wondering what the hell's going on.
So just to preface this, I did not discuss why I brought you here to talk today. Isn't that correct?
No,
you have no idea.
It kind of pissed me off.
You must have asked me 100 times. I'm like, Rich, you want to be on the podcast? You're like, yeah, what are we talking about? I'm like, I can't tell you that, man. But I promise you that you will know exactly what we are talking about throughout the show. So I've decided to have you back. Actually, you've been on quite a few times now, right?
A few, yeah.
Now, we had you on to discuss the greatest baseball movies of all time with Zeke. That was a good episode. If you haven't heard that one, check that out.
Loved it.
It was like the greatest baseball movies of the specifically of the 80s and 90s, which there's a lot of great baseball movies in the 80s and 90s. That's kind of why we narrowed it down to that list. But today, we are here to discuss one of the greatest movies of all time. Rich, do you have an idea of what we are here to discuss today?
I'm going to guess since we did baseball movies last time, we're not talking baseball.
No, we are not talking baseball. This is certainly one of your favorite movies of all time. And, yeah, so we are here to discuss today, Rich, the cult classic movie.
Blues Brothers, baby.
The Blues Brothers. And this is an epic comedy, but it's also a musical. I mean, would you call it a musical? The Blues Brothers? I mean, what?
I guess by definition, it's probably called the musical, but to me, it's more of an action comedy, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. So the Blues Brothers, you know, I mean, would you, if it is considered a musical, would you consider it the greatest musical of all time?
Since I'm not too partial to Grease, yes.
Place this over here too.
That's awesome.
So we have kind of like, some visuals here if people are watching it on video here. Yeah, I mean, all right. So how many times do you think you've seen this movie, Rich? If you had to guess.
You mean in a year or in my lifetime?
I would say in the span of your lifetime.
Oh boy. We're talking multiple hundreds of times.
So you should do pretty good without prepping for this episode, right?
No,
come on, man. You're gonna be fine. I'm not gonna there's gonna be no gotchas on this one. It's all gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So this movie came out in 1980, and Rich, this is actually one of the first movies that I can recall watching on HBO.
Oh wow!
Right? So there's two movies, and you could tell like when our family got HBO because it was this movie and Popeye with Robin Williams
Nice.
that I remember seeing for the first time on HBO. And this movie, this movie's fantastic. I mean, there's and just as a fair warning for anybody that hasn't seen this movie, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie, after 40 years of being out there,
what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, well, first off, what's wrong with you? But if you have not seen this movie, go ahead, pause this episode, go watch the movie, come back. We're not going anywhere. We'll still be here, right, Rich?
Yep.
We'll still be here. And
I told you I'm here all night.
Exactly. So, Rich, if you were to describe this movie, I don't know, like if you're just trying to describe this movie to like a 13-year-old who has never seen this movie or has no idea of what this movie, I mean, look at these pictures. They're weird. Like, what are these guys doing? What is this? These guys are not, and by the way, these guys are not in blackface. They're in blueface. Whatever that means. I don't know what the rules are on that, but yeah. So, but if you're going to start by describing this movie, which is, I mean, God, there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, but just the gist of this movie, how would you
So if I was describing it to a 13-year-old, I would try to simplify it without getting into exact details.
Yeah.
I would say, all right, so first off, very funny lines, very funny dialogue, and there's a ton of great music in it. It's old blues music, but it's some of the greatest performers of all time of blues type of music. So
it's fantastic.
You have, if you can imagine, I don't know what a 13-year-old or even a 20-year-old might consider like classic comedy.
Yeah.
But if you take whatever funniest SNL group of characters, or that's exactly what it is. But
right. Yeah.
if you take the funniest group of people that you can think of, comedians of your time, put them in one movie, and then combine them with the greatest musicians of probably an era before their time,
right,
that's what you would get with the Blues Brothers. It's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. Now, so as you mentioned, now this movie came from, the origins of the Blues Brothers, kind of like it started out kind of, I guess, as a sketch in 1976. They weren't actually called the Blues Brothers in that first sketch. It was called like something like Howard Shore and his All Bee Band or something like that.
Yeah, because they were dressed up like bumblebees.
Yeah. And then, but it wasn't until 1978 when the full-formed idea of the Blues Brothers first aired on SNL, Saturday Night Live. And the Blues Brothers, now they formed a band that was like a complete, I mean, they got legit guys in this band. I mean, that's part of the reason this works so well is like, this band was not like a, just some shitty band that they put together. These guys were like legit guys that like, they played on real big hit, like soul records.
When you got a guy in the band with the middle name Guitar, I mean, Matt Guitar Murphy.
Exactly. So I was doing a little research on this, and I found that, it's funny that I didn't know this. That album, the Briefcase Full of Blues, that came out in 1978, it was actually recorded while they were opening up for Steve Martin.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So Steve Martin, the old King Tut, good stuff here. See, Steve Martin back in the 70s. Another guy you need to check out if you're not familiar with the late 70s pop culture. But Steve Martin was great. Steve Martin was a wild and crazy guy back then. But anyway,
again, SNL.
Yeah. So and that album was actually kind of like a huge surprise hit. I mean, it was obviously the popularity of SNL launched those guys because they were like, SNL was so huge. I mean, 78. Right. I mean, come on, it was huge. It just came out a couple of years prior to that, and they actually had a couple of big hits on that album, especially this one. Soul Man. Soul Man was a big hit. This album, the full album. The full album.
What the hell is that, anyways? For the young people. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, this is a 45. So you played this on a record player. Anyways, this album up here, right up here.
Yep.
That went double platinum, and it featured 2 hits: the Soul Man right over there, and what's the other one, Rich? The Rubber Biscuit.
Rubber Biscuit. Love Rubber Biscuit.
Yes. So now the movie, they ended up making the movie because it was just, how could you not, right? I mean, it was, I think it was the first movie that they made of Saturday Night Live into a movie.
Sounds about right.
First skit that they made into a movie. And the opening scene to this movie, Rich, is that like the greatest opening scene to a movie like ever? I mean, in the buildup, you're like watching this, like, what the hell? What's going on? Like, what is this? It's like there's no talking or anything like that. It's just all like everything's just, you're just watching this, going, what is this? What's going on?
First off, you don't know where you are because all you see is this industrial crap,
right?
and this prison yard,
right. And I mean, it's so great. I mean, everything's so good. I mean, the opening music.
Oh, yeah.
The buildup of.
She caught the Katie.
Oh, so good. So good. I just remember, I remember watching that as a kid. And I just remember, even as a kid, I don't even know what the hell's going on. I'm just like, I mean, had to be like 1980, 1981, probably 1981 when I saw it on HBO. So I'm like watching it going, I don't know what this is, but it's pretty awesome. And another thing about this, these guys, it's not like they're Jim Carrey funny. They're like dead serious. It's like they're like dead serious throughout the whole movie. They're not like, wild and crazy and like,
right.
They're not that kind of funny. It's like the things they say are funny and the things they're doing are funny.
Physical comedy.
And the stuff that's happening to them is funny, but they're not like your classic funny. You're like,
they're not. Things happen and they're not reacting at all.
Right. So it's ridiculous, but it's awesome. I caught the Katie. So good. And, I mean, we could go through the whole movie, but apparently that scene that they filmed that opening scene at a real prison.
Yep. Joliet
prison. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the place, it was still an active prison back then. I mean, definitely still an active prison. And the shots that the crew needed as an overview of this shot, right? You know, they're getting like both the overviews and like, you know, him walking through the prison and everything. Because the guards are, you know, like taking this guy, you know, basically releasing him.
The shot from underneath was amazing.
Yes. Yep. And this is so nuts. So they had a helicopter that was like getting some of the aerial shots. And apparently some of the guards did not know about this, which is weird. So they actually thought someone was staging an attempt to escape.
Oh, no.
So some of the guards, there was like a couple of guards that actually came close to opening fire on the helicopter. It was like the film guys like,
no.
have their weapons drawn or what's going on here? So yeah, I just thought that was crazy. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of crazy things that happened during this movie.
Communication is key.
Communication breakdown. Good Led Zeppelin song too, if you haven't heard that. Yikes. So big part of this movie, as you mentioned, was the music, right? Yep. And that can't be understated. And I guess that the producers of the movie that were like, you know, when this was first starting to get going, they were like, they were like, you want old blues guy? What is? Can you guys make like get some disco people in here? And they were like, no. The whole point of the movie, it's called the blue. No. So like they wanted to get like what's her name? Rose Royce. Remember that at the car wash? They wanted like, can we get like, because like she did that song Car Wash. It was like pretty big, you know, at the time, and they're like, how about that? And they're like, no, sorry, no. So it's a good thing they did that. But no, they got some. They got, like we mentioned, some of the. I mean, they got some of the greatest blues guys, or you know, soul or whatever. Basically. Yep. It's just it's mind blowing how many stars that are in this movie. There's so many cameos. It's hard to even like go over the cameos because there's so many, and we're not going to bore everybody with all the cameos and everything like that. But the real musicians that they got. So, Rich, can you name the main band in the movie? Can you name like the guys in the band?
Mac Guitar Murphy, Donald Duck Dunn, Steve Cropper.
Yeah, good stuff.
And I always forget the drummer, Willie. I forget his name though.
What about the trumpet on trumpet? You know the.
I know every there's, and of course you got Paul, but
yeah. So you have
Paul Rubin,
Murphy Dunn, keyboards.
Murphy Dunn, yep.
Mr. Fabulous.
Mr. Fabulous.
No, so yeah, and I guess the original band was they had a lot of help from Paul Schaefer.
Yeah,
actually in the original band. And yeah, there's just over the period of time, there's a lot of people in this band, but yeah, the main guys in the movie were kind of like what we went over. Now I guess that Dan Aykroyd says that he's the one that introduced John Belushi to blues, because Belushi was a rocker. He was like from, you know, which is interesting because isn't he Canadian? Or is it the other way around? He's the Canadian and Belushi's from Chicago? Is that right? Or I believe, have it backwards?
I believe, I mean, both of them were in Chicago for a long period of time.
Gotcha, okay.
But I believe Aykroyd was actually from Canada.
Gotcha. So, yeah. But I just know that Belushi was the rocker guy.
Yes.
And Aykroyd was the guy more into the
correct. Blues. Anyway. Yeah, Aykroyd was really into the blues and could actually play it.
Yeah. So now their idea of the Blues Brothers came from Sam and Dave, and then they got their look the look of the Blues Brothers they got from John Lee Hooker, with the soul patch and the sunglasses, and I think even the hat. They got the hat. Like so, basically, they're John Lee Hooker,
Right.
but they sound like Sam and Dave. So now, and the suits they came from the concept that as a jazz player in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, to look straight, you had to wear a suit. They're just like wiping dust and stuff off them all the time, and like they're just like these suits are all just. But anyway, they're wearing a suit, so they but anyway, Rich, Carrie Fisher is in the movie.
Yes, she is,
and she's more than a cameo. She appears throughout the whole movie.
She's
Princess Leia
a returning cameo. Yes.
Now, Princess Leia, what is her role in this movie, Rich?
Well, which is kind of confusing if you're watching the movie for the first time. Because at first you might think she's just an assassin of some sort.
Yeah. But like, what is going on? And by the way, it's even more confusing that there's zero reaction from the two guys.
Yeah, at all.
She's literally trying to murder these guys. And
in multiple fashion, yeah.
But again, that's like one of those things kind of like, I mean, in a different way, but it's kind of like Pulp Fiction where you find out at the end what's going on. Just watching this chick trying to essentially murder these guys. You're like, the confusing thing is you don't understand why these guys just like, just get out. Take bricks off their body.
Dust yourself up, dust yourself off, and get up.
It's so great. It's so great. So, yeah. And Rich, why was Carrie Fisher? Why was she so angry at Jake?
Well, she was Jake's fiance, and apparently got stood up at the wedding in front of all of her family and friends.
You know what the funny thing about this is? She was actually dating Dan Aykroyd when this movie was being filmed. and Dan Aykroyd, I guess, even actually asked her to marry him. And I think, she obviously said no.
Yeah, Harrison Ford was around, so.
Well, that was before. Carrie Fisher had some fun. She ended up marrying Paul Simon, I think. I think it was Paul Simon. But anyway. But yeah, I guess Dan Aykroyd is pretty serious. He got her ring and everything. Yeah. But which is funny because like Dan Aykroyd's like, proposing to her and she's, John Belushi in the movie. Anyway. So Rich, can you name all the ways that Carrie Fisher tried to assassinate the Blues Brothers?
Ooh, I hope I don't forget one. I believe the first time you see her, I may not have it in order, but I believe first time, I think the first time was with the rocket launcher.
The flamethrower?
No, the rocket launcher.
Yeah, you're right.
The rocket launcher, which blew off the door to the hotel.
Yes, that's right.
And then I believe she just blew up the building. Completely.
By the way, aren't there's other people in there?
Oh, yeah.
Thinking about that, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. And we'll talk about some of those other people that were about to rain on Jake in Elwood Blues' parade.
Right.
But yeah, she used a rocket launcher. She used dynamite to blow the place up. She also used a flamethrower to try to kill him in a phone booth. and then a machine gun.
Right. That was the last one, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, baby.
Okay. And actually, that's the first time you see anyone's eyes.
That's true. That might be the only time, right?
Well, unless you watch the extended version with the deleted scene of Elwood at work.
Elwood at work. I don't even want to see that. I don't want to see it. No. Typing it up. Hello, I'm Elwood at work.
Kind of more manufacturer type job.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So now one of my favorite stories from this movie has to be, I mean, it's quite legendary. I mean, if you're a big Blues Brothers fan, I'm sure that you've heard of this because it's legendary in the fact that Belushi, just to paint a picture, I mean, we got into this a little bit before, but Belushi was huge in this country. He was huge. I mean, he was on
and a wild man.
He was on a #1 TV show, Saturday Night Live. They had a #1 album, and he was in Animal House.
Yep.
Which was a #1 movie, right? So he was a bona fide star. And by the way, nobody looks like John Belushi. He's the hilariously chubby, guy on SNL. Everybody knows his face. Everybody knows who John Belushi is. He was one of the most recognizable people there is, right? So the making of the Blues Brothers, I guess, was a complete and utter nightmare. I mean, watching it, you don't think so. You're like, oh, this is a great, awesome movie. It's like really fun. But I guess making it was a different story. It went $10 million over budget. The budget was like $17.5 million proposed budget. Went $10 million.
The fact that they only went $10 million over budget
Crazy,
is amazing.
Right? Yeah, with all the stuff that's going on in this movie, absolutely. John Belushi was again, he was nuts. I mean, we're talking
wild man.
We're talking peak craziness, and it doesn't help that he's hanging out with people like this guy right here. He's hanging out with Robin Williams. He's hanging out with Joe Walsh. He's hanging out with, he's nuts, right? He's hanging out with crazy people. Like, I don't know if he was hanging out with Keith Moon, but he's in that same realm.
There's that story.
Yeah, exactly. So, so he's blazing through so much cocaine at the time that, John Landis, the director, literally had to write drugs into the film's budget just to make sure that they can keep up with this, right? So they even had a private bar built on set for the cast and crew, and they're friends of the cast and crew. According to Carrie Fisher, the bartenders had a secondary role. Drug dealers. They were drug dealers. Belushi's cocaine habit, it was so legendary at this point in time that they would have to stash. They would have to stash away his cocaine and his drugs away from him to hide it, just so they can complete a day of work.
Yeah. Now let's not try to assassinate Belushi's character either. He wasn't the only one on the set doing coke.
No, but he was definitely the most out of control.
Yes.
And again, listen, we're not bashing. I mean, if anything, this just makes him.
No, yeah.
But nobody likes the way it ends, but he's completely crazy. But this story, oh God. So there were days of production when he was so messed up though, that he couldn't even leave his trailer. Mm-hmm. Right. So they had to assign people to like watch him. There was like this, like they literally assigned to like you've heard about this in movies where like, you need to watch him.
Yep.
Watch him babysit. Like he's basically being babysat, like a child. Right.
Right.
I think they probably had to do that with like Artie Lang and stuff like that,
Some people need an escort.
I guess so. So when they finally did get him to set, that really didn't even mean shit, because sometimes he would just vanish. And one time they were literally filming on set and he disappeared. He disappears. And this is the famous story. So the famous story is Dan Aykroyd talks about how they were filming in Harvey, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And Belushi's gone. Nowhere to be found. It's gone. And Aykroyd somehow tracks him down at a nearby residential neighborhood. I don't even. Anyway, I guess he sees he's driving by and he sees a light on. He goes, well, that's probably where he went. Somebody is awake, and he knocked on their door. And anyway, he knocks on their door. Can you imagine this, by the way? What?
No.
Just some random. Anyway, but this shows you how recognizable he is at this, and he's so famous.
Oh, yeah.
He could do this, right? He knocks on the door and he goes, hey man, we're shooting a film over here and we're looking for one of our actors. And the guy's like, you mean Belushi? Yeah. It's like, oh, he came in here like an hour ago and he like raided our fridge. Yeah, he's over there passed on the couch now. So he goes over, he's like, hey. He's like, what? Hey, we got to get back to work. He's like, okay. Like, what? Really? So yeah, that's one of the stories, and
it's amazing.
Yeah, and that's pretty nuts. I mean, like, right? I mean, I couldn't imagine that happening, right? Well, because like, there's different levels of famous now, right? I mean,
right.
Back then, I mean, if you're like TV or movie famous, I mean, that's huge, man. So,
oh yeah,
I couldn't see that happening these days. And there was one other moment that I wanted. I just learned this literally just before we got on here. So there's another story about him. Of course, it's, in his, just, he's probably high again. But anyway, he sees, of
course,
they're on set and he sees this kid riding by on a skateboard. And where do you see this going? He's like, oh, hey kid.
Oh no.
Can I borrow that? And he starts to like, he's probably showing off. He wants to, get on the skateboard. He's riding it down. And of course, he gets in a bad accident.
Oh, geez.
And this is like right before they were filming the last big scene, I guess, of the movie. And they were not able to almost film the last scene because he was so messed up. Like he had to get wrapped up and stuff. And they actually had to approve some painkillers for the guy that's already on drugs.
Oh, jeez.
The last scene. Yeah. So, John Belushi, gosh, what a tribute, right?
Yeah, he was literally a wild man. So,
yeah.
But the movie, the funny thing is, like you said, you would have never guessed that if you watched the movie.
No, yeah, because like he is so like, I mean, when you think of a cokehead, you don't think of a guy that's like just kind of sitting there,
right?
Just like he's very, very mild mannered throughout the whole movie, except for when they're dancing and stuff like that, of course. But but yeah, no, the Blues Brothers was a big success. It was actually a shocking success to the producers because they thought it was going to be a freaking flop. So like, a movie with a bunch of black people in it about black people music. I guess a lot of theaters, they didn't even have it one in their theater. They thought it was going to be bad. Like,
well, so I've heard it kind of like at the time, the reason why people doubted it was they didn't think that it would connect with black people because it's two white guys running around and doing blues. Like, what do white guys know about blues? Or
right.
at least back then, right?
Yeah, sure.
And they didn't think white people would connect with it because it's blues music,
right?
And it's based off of the blues,
right?
So they didn't understand that the connection, like the blues can be for everybody.
Sure.
Music itself. And then when you connect those characters,
yeah,
I mean, it was magic on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, you have, well, think about that too. Like just going back in time, the big music right around that time, you had, obviously disco's, it's still big because they're making it in like 1979.
Sure.
Still. So disco's probably at its peak in 1979. 1980 is big for soft rock. Classic rock, all the, big rock bands and stuff like that. Country's starting to make a revival.
Sure.
So, blues isn't even nowhere even remotely. Really, blues rock. Yeah, of course. But that's probably why that was successful, because they kind of rocked it up a little bit with some of their own stuff. But the Blues Brothers opened up at the box office in June of 1980, and it took in nearly $5 million in its first week. It's pretty wild, man. And you know what movie was right ahead of it? They couldn't get number one that week there because, you had Yoda. Yoda was in the. But
Gotcha.
But so it ended up grossing $58 million domestically and over $115 million worldwide.
Wow.
And it's currently the 9th highest grossing musical and the 10th highest comedy road movie. Road movie category. And it ranks number 2 behind the film. There's one film that was an SNL movie that did better than this movie. Only one. Can you name that movie?
I probably can, but not offhand.
Yeah, it was a big one. It was a great movie. So it was Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Gotcha. That took in $183 million. And
again, something about movies based in Chicago, man.
Yeah, right. And Wayne's World 2, which came out in 1993, made $48 million. That was number 3. So yeah, not bad. But anyway, one of the most famous movies, or one of the most famous parts of the movie, was the record that they set. Rich, what was that record? Do you know?
Would that be, I don't know if I'm gonna define it correctly, but would it be the most cars in a car wreck or the longest car wreck?
Nope. Yeah, you got it, man. It is, they hold the record for the most vehicles destroyed in a movie. 103 cars. And that was Rich. That record stood for nearly 18 years. 18 years. Until this movie came out. Do you know what movie broke the record?
I hope I think so. I hope it's not Blues Brothers 2000.
It is. It's by one car. They're like, you know what? If we could do anything to improve this movie, that's probably the only thing we're going to do is to break this record. Because didn't you say that you saw that movie in the theater?
I don't know. I think I did, but I don't know if I saw it in the theater, but I definitely saw it.
Truly awful sequel. Well, I think it is.
Yeah. The soundtrack is worth it, but don't watch the movie.
No, yeah. So that movie ended up losing $17 million. The budget for that movie was $31 million, and it brought in a cool $14 million. So, yeah, you can skip that one. But anyway, since the time the Blues Brothers 2000 came out, there were G.I. Joe. They destroyed 112 cars. A Good Day to Die Hard. What a stupid title. 132 cars. The Fast and Furious 5, 260 cars.
They went above and beyond.
The Matrix Reloaded. Another dump of a movie. 300 cars. And the winner by a long mile, Transformers 3, with a whopping 532 cars destroyed.
Wow.
I mean, again, that's wow. Well, if we could do one thing, I guess let's be the leader in destroying cars.
Surprised that isn't the record for the most CGI cars.
Right.
destroyed.
I'm like, are these real cars or are they CGI? Because everything else is yeah, whatever. Maybe I don't know what counts. But anyway, the Blues Brothers, they invented that record. So there you go. All right. So I now moving on. I think I've mentioned this so many times to you before, just going back to the music. But that I saw an episode of Bar Rescue.
Okay.
Where John Taffer is he's going into this blues bar. This is like, I don't know, like 8 years ago or something like that. He's going into this blues bar in Las Vegas, just outside the Strip, I guess. And he's sitting there and he goes, and when they sit in the car before and they're okay, so look at this bar, look at this place. It looks so shitty on the outside. Okay, so that's number one. So number two, the second strike on this bar is they're a blues bar in the 2000s. Like, and it's funny because he brings up the stat. He goes, there's 3% of the population considers the blues to be their favorite type of music. Not if you like it, but they consider it your favorite type of music is blues. 3% of the population.
Yep.
3%. What about you, Rich? What is are you part of that 3%?
I'm pretty sure when you said that, I said me. Yep.
But that is funny because, I mean, I guess when that bar came out, I mean, I don't know if it was like the early 70s or something like that. That makes sense. You have like bands coming in, and that's when bands used to play at clubs.
Yeah.
And then when the Blues Brothers came out, that exploded. I mean, blues is huge because of the Blues Brothers.
Yep.
I mean, there's tons of bars and clubs and stuff like that became big because of the Blues Brothers. But after 20, 30 years, not really sustain. I mean, I think John Taffer even said there's a bar down the street that BB King opened up, the House of Blues or whatever. Is that what they call that?
House of Blues.
That couldn't even stay in business in Vegas. So, I mean, if BB King can't even, if his name,
which is sad.
Yeah, and I've been at some of those. They're awesome. But I mean, blues, it's just one of those things where I think it's funny because it really illustrates how pop culture can make such a big impact on society, right?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, the same exact thing happened with like Saturday Night Fever, right?
Right.
Disco, and all these bars opening up. Hey, we need to open up a bar that looks like Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta guys dancing and doing their moves and stuff like that with all the big disco balls and stuff like that. Can you
show us some of those moves, Josh?
Well, not right now. Maybe a little bit later. But yeah. I'm not afraid. You get some drinks to me, man. I'm there. I'll be doing it. No, and then the same kind of thing. John Travolta just keeps doing all these like Urban Cowboy. It was like, hey, let's put a fake bull in our thing, and we could have like a bull riding and stuff like that. And then and then even a little bit later, I remember them doing the same thing with that Coyote Ugly kind of bar. With dominatrix chicks like doing dancing on the bars and stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, it's just funny how society can be impacted by a phenomenon like that, right? And that's how big that movie was. It really was like one of those movies. And all right, so Rich, I'm just going to skim over some of these here. Now, filming locations for this movie. Now, you were born and raised in Chicago, right?
Correct.
Now, you've got to be familiar with a lot of these places that are in them, right? Obviously, we talked about the prison that Jake spent 3 years.
Yep, Joliet.
And do you know anybody personally that has done any time in Joliet?
Actually, yes.
Who is that? Or are you able to say?
Well, yeah, I prefer not to. Family, friends, let's put it that way, and family.
The reason I asked this is because I knew that there would be a good chance that this was a possible, possible answer of yours. So,
yeah, I have some extended family and some uncles,
That's so great. Now, I actually had it. Have you had any of your crazy uncles? Like, that's so great. Oh God, that's so great. Now that place actually officially closed down for good in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever like visited that place? I mean, like, have you ever been on the
premises? Not myself. I have not.
I was shocked last year. I don't know if you've got to remember this, but Lee and Jewel sent us a picture of them at Joliet, and it came out of nowhere. It was just like, hey, we're, and I was like, where the hell are you guys? Where are you? And he goes, oh, we're at Joliet Prison watching the Blues Brothers like 40th anniversary.
Awesome.
I'm like, whoa.
Awesome.
Whoa. You didn't invite Rich Falls? He's like the number one fan. And I'm like, by the way, Rich, how did you not even know about this? How did this even happen? Did you ever hear about this event?
I really didn't.
They literally put like a big screen TV projector like on the lawn of the premises of Joliet Prison. How great is that? It's like the greatest story I've ever heard. Anyway, but I man, if I could turn back time, I'd be like, you are taking Rich Falls.
No, yeah, that's fantastic.
It was so great. But Rich, what did Jake Blues go to prison for? Or Jake, is that his name? Last name? Blue? Yeah. What did Jake go to prison for? Do you know?
What he actually went for, or what he told the band he went for?
How about you give us both?
I'm not sure of both, but I know he told the band that he stuck up the gas station for the money because he was trying to pay them what he owed them.
Gotcha. Now, are you implying that he wasn't telling the truth?
I mean, I believe that he stuck up a gas station.
And all right. So, well, look, Rich, it's for the band, man. It was for the band. Music is his number one passion. But that's one of the messages throughout this thing. This whole movie is all about, yeah, they might be criminals. They might be like not great guys, and they cause a lot of mischief on the way, right? But it's all about the music. It's all about the music.
For the most part, they're well-intentioned.
Right. Well, they are on a
mission from God.
Right. The East 95th Street Bridge. Have you driven over that bridge, Rich?
I can't specifically remember, but I know that I've been in that area.
Right? Isn't it like in your area? Isn't it like South Chicago?
Yes.
They said it's located over the Calumet River. Calumet?
You are from Seattle.
Yeah,
so it's Calumet.
Oh, Calumet. Okay. Calumet. All right. Well, there you go. That's why I have you on the show, man. To correct my West Coast ways over here. So, yeah, it's near the Indiana border.
Correct.
Lee Olson.
Yes. Yeah, the only guy who moves from Seattle to Gary, Indiana.
Wait a minute. You actually moved to Gary, Indiana? You moved to Gary, Indiana. Nobody moves to Gary. The Jacksons moved away from Gary, Indiana. Yeah. So, yeah, it's got to be one of the most famous scenes in the movie. The bridge is drawing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and Elwood, he wants to prove that it's a good vehicle. It's a good,
Yeah, but let's talk about that briefly here. I mean, you're picking up your brother. Imagine you're picking up your brother,
Andy,
from jail.
Right.
From jail.
Sure.
In an old cop car.
Right. I mean, it's like one of the greatest things ever. My own brother. In a cop car. Oh, it's so great. So great. But Rich, do you know what does Elwood say that it has to defend the car? Like all the, awesome features that comes with
Cop motor, cop tires, cop rotors,
cop suspension, cop shocks.
Yes.
Rich, it was a model made before catalytic converters.
Yes, so it runs on real gas.
Not regular gas. Absolutely. Rich, have you ever been to the Palace Hotel Ballroom?
I have not, but it's awesome.
I guess I don't know if the inside was filmed in LA, but it was set, I don't know, I can't remember, maybe it was both, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that place opened in 1966, but it looks like it was, I guess it was no, I'm sorry, I moved on. So you haven't been to that place, but did you ever go to the Dixie Mall in Harvey?
I have not.
Okay, so that's the place that opened in 1966. And then it was actually closed already by the time the filming of the movie, which that's well.
But they built it back up, yeah.
They built stores in it and everything. It's so great. And they that place actually was demoed in 2005. So you could still drive past it and like see it. Yeah. And then they finally got rid of it completely in 2012, I guess. But
funny thing about that scene is every single person that was in the mall had to be stunt people.
That's so crazy, man.
Because I mean, there was no faking stunts back then. They were actually driving through the damn mall.
Those scenes are like you said earlier. The fact that they only spent as much as they did making that movie, right. It's crazy watching that, because like everything you see in this movie, everything from the guys being dropped in the car to destroying them, building up and destroying them all, destroying all the cop cars. It's wild. It's crazy.
Well, not just that, but getting every part of the Chicago government involved in the movie.
It's wild.
You had the SWAT team. You had the National Guard.
Right. They're actually paying. They have to pay these guys.
Yeah. You had
Belushi's coke habit.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
Right. It's crazy, man. How about have you ever been to Jackson Park on the shore of Lake Michigan?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's where the Illinois Nazis held their rally. And
I hate Illinois Nazis.
Do you like regular Nazis?
No, hate them all. Hate them all.
So the bridge where they got all pushed off into the water is off Columbia Drive alongside the harbor. Have you been to that bridge?
I believe I have, yeah.
Awesome, man. I want to go to some of these places. Hey, that's where they pushed off the Illinois Nazis.
Hey, Chicago's awesome, man.
I know, dude. There's so many filming locations that happen in Chicago. Almost more iconic ones that, it's got to be up there with New York.
Lower Wacker Drive.
There's a million places that have been filmed in Chicago.
They drive right by the Daily Center.
Dude, have you ever been to the Home Alone house?
I have not.
I totally drive by that house. Hey, there it is, the Home Alone house. Yeah, I'm sure no vehicles drive by that house, especially during Christmas. All right, so I do love the part where they're helping to promote the concert, and they're driving with that big giant speaker on top of the car on the
megaphone on the Bluesmobile.
Yeah, and tonight only, the Blues Brothers in concert. No, so
it's ladies' night.
Right. Ladies' night, yeah. And by the way, that was kind of our inspiration for putting a speaker on the A-Team vehicle when we dressed up like the A-Team. And it was crazy. Rich, I can't even imagine how loud their speaker was, because we had one that was like this big, and we're driving downtown Seattle with the A-Team, and you could literally hear it bouncing off every building, and people were like, ah! We'd like play
That's
the A-Team.
awesome.
Oh God, it was crazy. People were just like, Jesus, oh my God, it was so scary. We were scaring the crap out of it. We were laughing so hard, man. We are like, okay, ready? And then we play like a soundbite, like, I'm gonna get you, sucker. You know, like all these like stupid like, stuff like that. But you're gonna fly. But the now, by the way, is the Bluesmobile your favorite TV or movie vehicle? I mean, there's a lot of great TV movie vehicles, right? I mean, like the 18,
yeah,
the old Dukes. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about that one anymore.
But I mean, yeah, Knight Rider's pretty damn cool.
What about the Mystery Machine?
I would go with the A-Team van, Knight Rider, and then Blues Brothers.
All solid picks, man. All solid picks. I mean, yeah, there's some great cars. I didn't put
Dukes of Hazzard when I was 6.
Right, so. Right. You're like, yeah, they're always just. Now, the soul food restaurant.
Yes.
It's all now redeveloped and stuff like that, but
unfortunately,
I don't know when that got remodeled, but I know it was around for quite some time. I know you've been to Wrigley Field, though.
Oh yeah.
All right, moving on to cameos.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, tons of cameos. I just wanted to point out some.
I mean, we could go through them all, but
I mean, we'll go through a few of them here. But Rich, I just want to see how many of these you know. Who plays the Cook County assessor at the end of the movie?
Was that Spielberg?
That is Steven Spielberg. That is correct, my friend. So
Yep.
That is so funny too, because like he's like
he's out, yeah, and he was out for lunch.
Right? Yeah. They're like listening to they're just like
elevator music.
It's so crazy to see all those guns pointed like at the same time at the end of the movie. You're like, whoa, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
And then the property chief at the prison at the very beginning is played by what famous voice actor? Do you know?
It's the guy who did the voice for Miss Piggy, right?
Oh yeah, he's. You know what's funny is he actually had the #1 and #2 movie out at the box office for that point of time. He did. Yes, it was Frank Oz, Mr. Frank Oz.
Yeah.
Who is? I mean, we're talking. Listen to this list here, dude. So he did Miss Piggy, as you met. I like his Miss. He did Yoda. You know the. Try not to do or do not. Try. No, he did Fozzie Bear. He did Cookie Monster. The awesome. Cookie Monster.
My guy.
He did Grover.
Right.
He did. How about this one? He did Bert of Bert and Ernie.
I hate Bert.
Whoa! Yeah. I guess Ernie's. Yeah. But he also did Animal. He did Animal.
I love Animal.
Yeah. And he also did The Swedish Chef.
Okay. Who did Oscar?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. Oscar. I'm not sure who did Oscar.
And I derailed the whole thing. I'm sorry.
Those two guys that did like 80 or 90% of the characters back then. Right. But that's a large portion of some of the characters.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now Elwood impersonates a gas station attendant and fills up a tank of gas for a dapper young lady. Can you name who this actress model was?
Yes, Twiggy, one of my dad's favorites.
That's awesome. Yep, Twiggy. And do you know how much he charges her for that gas fill up?
I forget I think he said $40-something.
Oh, it's more than that, which is weird, which is crazy.
Well, she gave him 100, I believe, and told him to keep the change. But I thought he said something of like 40 something.
Well, from what I have down, it says I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm dyslexic, but it says he charges her $94. She gives him $95 and says keep the change. Maybe it was 40.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
It's quite the tip, by the way.
And $94 for a tank of gas.
Right, in 1980. And she's okay with it. She's like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, she had an important meeting to get to.
Yeah, I guess so. Jeez. Now, when they visit the music store, which is one of the most iconic scenes in the entire movie.
Yep.
Who's the famous music? It's such a ridiculous. I can't believe I'm asking this. Who's the famous musician that is working at the music store, Rich?
Well, it was Ray's music store, so it was Ray Charles. Ray frickin' Charles.
Oh, it's so great. How great is that scene, by the way?
Oh, it's awesome, especially when the kid comes in trying to take the guitar.
Does it kind of remind you of the story that Zeke told about?
Oh yeah,
it's like he almost like he fires a gun and almost like hits the kid. Did you like almost hit the kid or something like that?
Right above him. Yeah. Right.
He sees the kid stealing the guitar, or no, he just senses it. He senses the kid stealing it. Yeah. Do you know what song he sings in the movie?
Shake Your Tail Feather.
That is correct. And what do you like better, Ray Charles's version of "Shake Your Tail Feather" or Nellie's version?
You know, you could have stopped at Ray Charles' version, because I don't care if it's a Beatles song. I don't care if it's whatever song Ray Charles is singing. It's the best version in my opinion.
Charles is so good. He's so good. All right, moving on to the parole officer, Burton Mercer. Do you know who plays Burton Mercer in the movie The Blues Brothers, Rich?
John Candy.
John Candy. Yes. Now, bonus question. Are you able to name the refreshment that he orders at the concert benefit?
Josh, do you want an orange whip? Orange whip? Orange whip? 3 orange whips.
That's so great. An orange whip. Have you ever had an orange whip?
Nope. Don't even know what it is.
I wonder if like that was written into the script, or if that's something that John Candy's just like. All right. So this is a one that I didn't know about, and which is kind of interesting. When James Brown is singing at the church where they go into, another crazy scene.
When he heard a disturbing sound.
Does now one of the singers in the choir, just to his well, I don't know what side, but anyway, one of the female singers is singing. I think she's singing a solo during the the crazy when they're all getting really going with that song. Do you know who the singer is, the lead singer of his choir?
I do not. I don't know that one.
So it's a pretty deep one, because I've never even noticed it, and you could miss it because it goes so fast. But Shaka Khan.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? Shaka Khan is in the movie. All right, so I thought that was kind of fun. We're gonna kind of do the same thing here. We're gonna do some general trivia. So this is gonna be good.
Boy.
Yes, we're gonna like this. You're gonna like
this. It's the make Rich feel dumb.
No, you've already gotten like so many of these. Actually, you're filling in a bunch of stuff we're doing here. So, Rich, we are all familiar with Danny DeVito's performance in Batman Returns as the Penguin.
He was in that?
No. But in this movie, who do they refer to as the Penguin?
Oh, that would be the Nun.
That is the Nun. Yes. And I remember, by the way, I remember my mom and dad, that was like their favorite scene in this movie. They would they still talk about when they first saw that. I don't know when. They probably saw that for the first time in the theater, but they said when that scene, man,
it's fantastic.
That ruler or the yardstick.
Yep.
And just starts beating the shit out of these guys because every time she hits one of them, was it Jake for swearing?
Yeah. So to set the scene, Jake said, "Oh, $5,000? No problem. We'll have it to you in the morning." She didn't want their filthy stolen money. Right. So he goes, "Well, then I guess you're up shit creek."
That's right. Yeah.
And
that means you're up shit creek.
And then she smacks him with the ruler.
Right.
And Elwood starts going, "Jesus, Jake."
Yeah.
So she smacks.
And every time she would smack them, they would like, fuck, like she just beat the shit, like, and yeah, it was so great. You definitely got to see that. If you haven't seen this movie, you got to see it. It's so good. So anyway, the Penguin tells them that they will need to pay how much money?
$5,000.
$5,000 that they owe in taxes.
Yes. Otherwise, they're going to shut the school down.
Now, when Jake and Elwood go into the diner to recruit Matt Guitar Murphy,
yeah,
what are their orders, Rich?
Well, Elwood orders dry white toast. And Jake orders 4 fried chickens and a Coke.
No, what is Elwood drinking?
Water.
I think you said no drink.
Yeah, it's really nothing. Dry white toast.
All right. So how about just sticking with food here? How about when the crew goes over to the Chez Paul restaurant?
Chez Paul.
What?
Chez Paul. But yeah.
Chez Paul, that's right. Sorry, Chez Paul. How much is soup there?
Ooh. The soup's $20 for Christ's sake.
Well, probably with inflation. They said it was like $10 back then.
Okay.
But the waiter who comes to their table after they seat themselves, another cameo. Who's the waiter?
Pee Wee Herman.
I love that. Might be the best cameo in the. It's like before Pee Wee Herman's Pee Wee Herman. Like you're like, that's Pee Wee Herman. What did Pee Wee Herman's in there? Yeah. And then what does Jake order from Pee Wee Herman? You know what he orders?
That's tough to remember. I know they order the finest bottle of wine.
That's correct.
And
1971
shrimp cocktail or something.
5 shrimp cocktails.
5.
And then he says, "Bread for my brother."
Yes.
All right. Okay.
White bread.
Now, Rich, speaking of money, do you know what the cover charge / admission was for their concert?
Ooh.
What are they charging for their concert?
That is a lot of entertainment for...
It's a pretty great deal, actually.
$4, $5.
You're really doing this inflation thing, aren't you, man? It's $2.
$2. That's right. That's a lot of entertainment for $2.
Now, the 8-track tape, that Jake and Elwood play in the Blues Brothers throughout the movie. What is that 8-track tape?
Elmore James.
Now think about like when they leave the prison, puts in that tape. What is that tape? We already mentioned these guys before, and they're one of the inspirations of this whole entire idea of
Sam and Dave.
Sam and Dave, baby, the best of Sam and Dave. Hold on, I'm coming. And Soothe Me. Oh, so good, so good. And of course, they cover Soul Man, right? Soul Man,
Yes.
their big hits. Rich, at the end of the movie, at the end of the Blues Brothers movie, the band is playing for all the prisoners. This is crazy. There's another wild cameo that, I mean, I've seen this so many times, and you've probably seen it 10 times more than I have. But during this performance, Jailhouse Rock, there's a very famous musician who is seen at the very end jumping onto the table, and he starts dancing wildly, and he's pretty much the one that gets everybody else to, get on the tables and start dancing, right? This guy is a legendary guitarist and one of John Belushi's good buddies. Do you know who this is?
Ooh, I can take a educated guess, maybe. Legendary guitarist, one of Belushi's good buddies, and it's not Eric Clapton.
Not Eric Clapton, but he was in one of the biggest bands of the entire 70s. Yeah, top 3 bands of the 70s, definitely.
Give it to me. I'm not gonna.
He was in the Eagles.
Yep.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh.
I went back and I saw that clip and I'm like, that is Joe. That's Joe Walsh.
That's funny.
That's pretty awesome, man. Of course, it's like Joe Walsh. And of course, it makes sense. He's in prison with John Belushi.
Right.
All right, Rich, can you name how many times in this movie Jake is seen driving the Bluesmobile?
How many times Jake is driving? None.
That is correct. 0. Elwood is the only one seen in this movie, which again is probably a good thing.
Well, they're not gonna allow the cokehead to drive. So,
and probably, I mean, remember there was an open bar there too.
Alcohol, yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you need the coke to keep you going with the the alcohol. All right, okay. All right. So, Rich, who did the Blues Brothers first try to recruit in getting the band back together? Which person tried to recruit? Very first one.
The first one that they're trying to get.
So ridiculous that we're doing this episode.
Right. So the first one that they're trying to get is Murphy, right?
Boom, Murph. And
Murph and the Magic Tones.
And the Magic Tones. And here's another. Okay, wait, hold on. Do you know, or did you know, real quick, that Paul Schaefer was the original keyboardist who was going to play that role, but he couldn't do it due to his obligations with SNL, and I guess he was doing some comedy special with Gilda Radner.
Okay.
Hey,
it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out great because that guy really looked like a lounge guy. But bonus question: in the lounge area, and the where was it? The where they had a what kind of hotel was that? A motel?
It was
Holiday Inn. Is that a Holiday Inn?
It might have been. Yeah, I believe
so
it was a Holiday Inn.
The lounge area at the Holiday Inn. Where did his band? When his band was playing, excuse me, what instrumental track by Billy Joel do they flip on before walking over when Jake and Elle would walk in? Do you know which Billy Joel instrumental track do they put on? Which is very loungy, by the way. And I can give you multiple choice if you want multiple choice.
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's do multiple choice. Okay. She's Always a Woman, Piano Man, Just the Way You Are, The Stranger.
I don't think it was Piano Man. So I'm going to go with The Stranger.
It is Just the Way You Are.
Okay.
Oh, change it. Try blues, man.
There you go. Okay.
You're like, look, it was an instrumental.
I wasn't paying attention. It was right. Murph and the Magic Tones.
All right, Rich. There is an old man in Elwood's apartment building who asks him if you remember to bring him this food product. What is that food product?
I mean, you got to remember the Cheese Whiz, man.
And I like how he pulls it out. Like, what?
After all the craziness he just went through.
What? All right. Okay. This movie, I swear to God. All right. Rich, can you name the first gig the band lands? What is the first gig that they land and
that they actually land or that they crash? So
well, I mean, okay, is
Country Bob's Bunker.
That is correct. And what is the name of the band that they give themselves? What's the name of their band?
Well, I mean, the name of their band is the Blues Brothers, but the band that they have to be in if they want to play is the Good Old Boys.
The Good Old Boys, yes. I always love that part too, because like you're like, wait a minute, like there's chicken wire, and they're throwing bottles, but I always want to try this. Like, do empty bottles break when you throw the chicken wire? And I like how they're all like, it's like, that's not really.
Yeah.
All right.
Like it's metal. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's pretty. Stand by your man.
No, my favorite part of that is obviously when they go in and they order a beer and they tell them that they're the band.
Right.
And,
oh yeah. Oh God.
So what kind of music do you guys normally have here? Oh, we have both kinds, country and Western.
Yeah, that's great. That's so great. Yeah. And by the way, when it's when the bar's closed out and he goes up to collect, and then what is the line they said, like, all right, so the gig pays $200, and then they
no.
Right?
So the gig was $100, but you guys drank $300 worth of beer, so you guys owe me $200.
So ridiculous. Oh, it's so great. Yeah. All right. So I love that they just to back up here in that I love that they did rawhide in that movie in that.
Oh yeah.
That's great. They're like that's so great. Anyway, okay. So this movie, I guess, there's some famous quotes in this movie, but I just wanted to talk about this part.
Just a couple.
Yeah, no, there's some of the most famous quotes ever are in this movie, but this movie has become quite the cult classic. But did you know? Actually, I'm not even gonna say it. I'll just tell you the name because which country? You're not gonna like. So there's a country that has, obviously the United States is huge. The United States loves this movie, but there's a country that even loves the movie more than the United States. That country is Australia.
That's awesome.
Kind of interesting. It was so big, in fact, that even through the 90s, they would have huge viewing parties in these big theaters, and it would be packed with people dressed up like as the Blues Brothers or characters from the Blues Brothers, and then
apparently Australians are my people.
Right? You're like, okay, so we have the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they do that with the Blues Brothers. What am I doing? Why am I not living in Australia? Yeah. So, yeah. So one of the most famous lines from the movie is, it's 106 miles to Chicago. Go ahead, Rich.
106 miles to Chicago.
We got a
full tank of gas, half pack cigarettes. It's dark out, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Yep, that's great. Yeah. So that's a classic line. One of the, and obviously we mentioned the one before where everybody says after you watch this movie, everybody just walks around and says, We're on a mission from God. They say that so many times in the movie. It's like so classic. My parents were huge fans of this movie back in the day. I would say about 10 years ago, they dressed up like the Blues Brothers. And I think they went to some bar. Maybe they were at like one of those Elks bars or something like that. I don't know where they were. But they were at some Halloween party, which by the way, I think is hilarious. Like my parents, like they're at some bar and they're dressed up like the Blues Brothers. So like my mom was one of the Blues Brothers, my dad was one of the Blues Brothers, and my dad is doing the Elwood dance where he does the up and down like legs and everything.
Shuffle.
He injures himself. I don't know what he did. He like pulled some calf or like his Achilles tendon or something like that. So my dad got injured while being the Blues Brothers. So, but I think that if my dad can go back in time, I don't think he'd change a thing. He was down for weeks after that. Weeks. I don't know if it might have been months. I don't know. But yeah. So, my question is for you, Rich. If you come back to visit next year, will you dress up as the Blues Brothers with me and fly to Australia to watch it? I'm just joking.
I mean, I've actually already dressed up as a Blues Brother before.
How dare you? Oh, wait, was this before I met you?
It was at work, actually. When
yes, I think I remember that. I think I remember seeing a picture of that. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Steve Johnson actually dressed up as the Blues Brothers.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, so my question is though, would anybody under the age of 40 even know who you guys were?
The Blues Brothers? I mean,
that might be one of the things
they would have seen it, like they would know the image of it at least.
It's kind of like the costume that we just went as. Like, when you see somebody that's a little bit older, they're gonna love it, right? They're gonna love it. But anybody that's under a certain age, they're like, I don't get it. They're just like stare at you like,
are you guys Men in Black?
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Men in Black. Where's your guys' mind eraser? Where's the little thing to stare here and all this stuff? Make your mind erase. Yeah. Not quite. Are you guys CIA agents or?
Right. Yes.
Are you guys the police?
I would think you would get it as no, ma'am. We are musicians.
Yes. Yes. All right, Rich, is there anything you'd like to add to this episode besides, if you haven't seen this, go watch the movie?
It's a must-watch movie. I'll tell you what. I mean, you didn't even mention Aretha Franklin.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is a great scene, by the way, too. It was that Matt Guitar Murphy.
Yep, Matt Guitar Murphy. Yep.
Yeah. God, either Aretha Franklin. She looks good in that movie too. She looks good.
Yeah. That was her probably at the latest peak of her prime.
Yeah, and then what after that? Like I can only think of like really. I think she did a song with George Michael, but her big like '80s hit was like, "Man, I'm running on a freeway."
I remember when she did the national anthem for WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
And then I remember when Ray Charles did it at WrestleMania 3.
What the? Really? I didn't even know that. I mean, I watched WrestleMania 3, but I don't remember the.
Well, not the national anthem, but God Bless America.
Gotcha. Yeah, those. And then Ray Charles went on to do like the Pepsi and stuff like that. It's good stuff right there. But Aretha Franklin with those, and it was funny because Aretha Franklin actually worked with some of the guys. I think, which is that Stax or is that? I think well, I can't remember if it was the guys at Muscle Shoals, the old white guys that played the soul music and stuff like that. But man, she had those late '60s into the mid '70s era is just awesome. I mean, Aretha Franklin was.
You had Aretha, you had John Lee Hooker appearing
by the way,
on the street.
That scene in any other time frame, like can you even see a movie like this being released today? I don't think so.
They would never get away with doing everything they did. So
no, it would have to be released on Netflix as like a, part 5 series or something like that. But yeah, like that. I mean, that scene where they're just letting him go. They're like literally watching him play. It looks like you're at like a street festival with John Lee.
That's the old Taylor Street setup.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you got people like little markets and stuff, people basically setting up shop. And then you have musicians just sitting on a chair and just playing and performing.
And by the way, how fitting is that? Because he was pretty much the inspiration for the look of the Blues Brothers, right? So, and I think that's what makes that movie work so well, is because they respected those guys so much. They actually went out and got legit musicians, and the fact that they stayed true to keeping their word, is keeping it a blues movie instead of getting, disco and even rock. There's other movies that were rock movies, right?
Sure.
At that time, there was disco movies. There was all these different kinds of movies, and there was not a blues movie that was out. Well, not like that, especially with all these old blues guys. Oh, how do we forget this? My favorite, Calloway.
Calloway, the classic. This is a guy who was doing music and performing in the 1930s.
I cannot believe how good that sounds. Minnie
the Moocher.
That is so great. I cannot believe how awesome that is. A great, great scene. It's almost worth watching the movie just for that. I think it's so cool. So great.
And the way they do the costume change out of nowhere.
Right, yeah. And all the neon signs in the back and everything. It's great. Yeah, definitely watch it if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, well, what's your favorite part? I want to hear it.
My favorite part?
Yeah. Well, anybody. I'm just saying, just in general.
Yeah.
Listen, we could talk about this.
There's a million choices.
This movie was originally like 2 hours and 45 minutes, and they had to cut it down so much, and they still cut it down, and it's still like one of the longest comedies ever made.
Well, he wrote it as 2 movies, so
his original script was like this. It was like a phone book.
Yeah, and they're like, no.
Yeah, they're like, what is? Are you joke? Are you serious? Are you high? Yeah. No. Yeah. So, hey, Rich, this was fun, man. We got to do another movie review sometime.
Absolutely.
Maybe, I don't know, Rocky 3, Rocky 4.
I'm up for it. Sure.
I still can't believe we know somebody, by the way, that has not seen any of the Rocky movies. How is that even possible? It's unreal.
I'm sure there's some. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but they're like R8.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. If you enjoyed any part of this podcast, any bit of it, we are demanding that you hit that subscribe button. Please, we're begging at this point in time. Just give us a subscribe, give us a like, and we're trying to come up with, Rich and I, we're trying to come up with more interactive shows, like maybe Rocky 3, Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Maybe the whole Rocky series. Maybe you could rate them. Of course, Rocky 5 is the best one, right, Rich?
Stop it.
And again, let us know what your favorite parts of the Blues Brothers are.
Maybe your favorite version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, there you go.
I mean,
maybe Blues Brothers 2000.
Ooh.
Maybe the Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
Dan Aykroyd going over here.
We could do a Ghostbusters review.
Right. All right, Rich. Well, we'll talk to you soon, buddy. And until next time.
Josh, it's been fun. Thanks, man.
It's been fun. For Rich Falls, I'm Josh. And as always, thank you for being a friend.